I have a 2002 Nissan Frontier. I don't know if anybody else has had any problems with trailer light hookups, but hooking up a trailer to a Nissan without a converter box, which the converter boxes cost around, last time I bought one, was around 60 bucks a pop. I done replaced two on this truck, and after replacing two of them, it's just getting kind of pricey. And so what I did is, me and a buddy of mine had to troubleshoot this for a while until we found the right sequence that will work. What we used was a relay to isolate our running lights, because on a Nissan your brake lights is a separate wire that goes into your converter box. I don't have the converter box with me at the moment, but the converter box, if you notice, on one end has 5 wires. Coming out of the converter box is only 4 wires, and it ties in your brakes into your turn signal system without backfeeding. So we converted we tied in our parking lights through our relay. We isolated the power, because we found our problem was in our parking lights. Everything worked fine. We hit brakes and turn signals, everything worked fine until you turn the parking lights on. And then when you turn your turn signal on with parking lights, everything would flash. So we determined it was our parking lights causing backfeed through the system. So we isolated it. This is our parking lights coming directly off our bulbs, which is a blue wire with a red stripe. Again, this fits a 2002 Nissan. I'm not for sure if all Nissans this year use the same wire, but if you're having problems with backfeeding through your system on a trailer, good chances are either you don't have a converter box, or your converter box is bad. And if you need to wire it direct, like I did, to keep from buying more converter boxes. But the downside of all this is we've had to wire this into a 5-pole pigtail. I'll show you right here. Now my pigtail has 5 leads. You got your ground. Brown is your running lights. Yellow and green is still your turn signals. With this blue wire, this is normally on a trailer, on a normal trailer, this is usually run for your electric brakes, but we've tied that into our brake system. So this blue wire is just for brakes only, brake lights. Everything else is pretty much the same, except we've isolated the brake lights, because it seemed like the brake lights were feeding through our parking lights, and the turn signals would just go crazy, because we wouldn't have no brake lights and our turn signals would go crazy. It just seemed like nothing would work right with your parking lights on. That's the reason why we ran a relay on our parking lights to isolate the backfeed power going through the system. Now you can get this relay at any hardware parts store, or they're pretty inexpensive. I bought the pigtail and I bought the relay. If you need to know how to wire it up, I'll give you a quick tutorial here. The black wire is when you turn your turn signal lights on, this power source will feed into your relay. This is the coil side. This will activate the coil. Of course, black with a silver stripe is your ground. This blue wire here, I've got it connected to my fused power going back to my fuse box on the truck. This is your hot wire going in that will feed your parking lights going out. So remember, this is your coil side. Parking lights in. When your power is turned on here, this activates this coil wire, turns your coil on. Because remember, a coil is a simple setup. This is a single pole, single throw coil, which means it has one function: open and close, open and close. When you turn power on, it closes. And what that does is when it closes, your coil connects, which also there's two pins in there that connect, which is one of them be power in and the other one sends the power out. When they connect, this would be your power out, which is your yellow wire. So your power out would actually go to your trailer to turn your parking lights on. Now each one of these is individually wired, meaning my brake lights, my running lights, my turn signals are all individually on its own separate bulb. On a normal trailer, you have running light, a running light, and I've had to add another running light. These are separate running lights. These are completely isolated from a normal system. What I have right here is your brake lights and turn signals are on this LED. And the running lights are separate, which is here and in front. On a normal trailer hookup, it's all under one setup. You have running lights, brakes, and turn signals all under one system. But with Nissan, it doesn't work that way, because if you've got a Nissan and you've had this same problem where you're getting back feed through the system, that's where your problem lies, is your running lights and your brakes are back feeding through the system. That's the reason why we had to isolate our running lights on a relay. This relay here will keep it from back feeding, because it's isolating its own powers. And it's like I said, I've got this run up to the fuse box, so it's got fresh power running straight to my running lights. So it's not given a chance to back feed through the system and cause all kind of havoc. So I've got my brakes. The brakes are hooked up to a brown wire with a red stripe. Of course, ground is black with a, looks like a silver stripe. And of course, your parking lights is a blue wire with a red stripe. And the only thing we didn't mess with is your turn signal lights. The turn signals are still on the same setup as green and yellow on a normal trailer. So if you was to hook this up take your trailer and hook it up to another truck, it wouldn't operate correctly. The problem is with this pigtail, we have the 5-pin pigtail, and of course our brakes is separate, so everything else would work right except for your brakes on another vehicle. You would have to do a little wiring to get your brakes working again with your turn. I've got right here a little fancy setup. I didn't need to go a labyrinth with this like I did, because once I bought the five wire pin, it come with a male and a female pigtail, so I didn't really need this. But anyways, this is kind of nice. It's it gives you other options to hook up different types of wiring. It makes it universal for any type of wire hookup, so that's the reason why I went with it. So I think I've explained everything. Hopefully this will work for you. Luckily for me, I've only got the one truck and just the one trailer, so I'm okay. But if I let somebody else borrow my trailer, I mean, I'll have to let them know that the brake lights won't work for them. But I hope this works. Let y'all know. Just let me know in any comments or tips or questions. Talk to y'all later.